So this is it. My goal here is to actually start and complete as many pictures as I can. What I need you to do is, if you have a question about something I'm doing, raise your hand or something. It's going to be fast-paced, antique roadshow type of. Next. Okay? All right. Yeah, I definitely encourage you, please. I hope you didn't spend all the money with me that you would have bought some books from the society, but I do appreciate it. So we had some tintypes, and I wanted to this one has an interesting story behind it. Screen should wake up any minute. There we go. Something's sitting in front of it. And of course, the scanner's warming up. Caption. We did caption.
Where are you going to be next?
After today? My next one is on May, I forget the exact date, but in Cincinnati for the NGS conference. This is my first time being there, so this is exciting. And then after that, I don't think I have anything. So I'm just kind of like, I'm the odd man out sometimes, But it's funny because I'll be vending at some of these events. They'll come to me talking about some photo restoration class they went to, and they're like, what is this person talking about? Should have had me there. Okay, so here we go. We're going to make this color and set our crop box. Thank you. Oh boy. All right, good. Now, of course, it's a tintype, and I believe I mentioned earlier that the tintypes get dark over time. Okay? So we have to scan these in quickly. We don't want the light from my scanner to make it worse. Let's make this 200%. This is a very small original, so it's going to be approximately 5x7 now. Hit scan. And I want to take that off the bed as soon as it's done. Well, because we're exposing it to more light than that bulb. I don't want to make it worse. And I don't think the owner wants me to make it worse. And I'm going to take it off right now. Put it in here. Whew. Now when you get home, I want you to put each one of these 3 tintypes. Whose is this? Yeah, I want you to put each one in its own pouch. Because they're scratching each other in there. That's it. Oh, I've got it. Yeah. Okay. We'll open up this one. Now in this case, I'm going to make a clean crop. Go into a little detail here with my crop. Okay, it's very dark on screen. If, let's see. What I'm going to do is bring compensate here a little bit so you'll see. Okay? All right. The mom is hidden behind there. Yeah, so the story behind this is the child had expired already. Yeah, so they wanted to get a picture. I mean, he was out of it. It's just sad, yeah. Okay, so I am going to I'm going to stick with the levels adjustment because I want you all not to get too blown out of the water with what I'm doing. Okay, so again, we're going to go into the individual color channels, move our sliders over to the edges of the mountain. This went to green, and I'm going to go to blue. And I'm going to get rid of my compensated layer. Okay, where am I? Sorry, let me reset this. You can't see anything right now because I am going to do this the correct way very quickly. Then I compensate it. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. He's got a color cast here. So we're going to red here. Good. All right. We have some details now. So what we got to do here is clean up the spots. There's so many spots. There's so much damage here. To go in one by one takes a lot of time. And it can end up looking pretty bad when you're done with it, no matter how good you think you are at cleaning up spots manually with the clone stamp tool or other tool. I duplicate the background layer. Then I go to a filter. It's noise, ironically noise, dust and scratches. So see if you can see what it does. It gets rid of that. Now, it does get rid of that, but it also can mess with detail. So we could go real extreme with the radius up here to really just wipe it out and bring the threshold down so it won't be so discriminating with the detail. But what happens is, as you get rid of more scratches, you lose detail in the face, right? So this is why you compensate with threshold. And I'm bringing this back. And that looks pretty bad. So then I pull my radius down. It's a give and take. Before, after. Before, after. I notice here his nose. Look at his nose. The nostril area. Look what happens. It gets this weird, see that weird glob, that light colored glob in there? We don't want to add anything running from his nose. Okay? So we have to get rid of that. That's unacceptable. So before, after. So we've gotten rid of a little bit. But when we zoom out, you can't really see it. We've actually gotten rid of a lot. Okay? Now here, let me try to compensate here. Good. That's, woo. So here we have a whole area that can really get overwhelming. But the idea is when you zoom out, what do you see? This could be a wicker chair, part of a person, whatever. All right? We can identify this as part of the background, I think. Okay? We can also look at the original and say, okay, let me see this. Does that look like it should be there? I think most of this should be here. But some may disagree. Let's at least get rid of these obvious spots that look like lights in the sky. And we'll use our trusty clone stamp tool for some of this. So I'm option clicking. go to the healing brush, option click, and then I'm just going to wipe here. You know, you don't have to make a picture look perfect, but you should make it pleasing. And what I mean by pleasing is good contrast and no color casts. And what I mean by that is when we scan these pictures, sometimes they'll be a little green, sometimes they'll be a little too yellow. You have to remove that because it's distracting. So here we go, let's see before. After. Now there are some lines, some diagonal lines here, okay? So something like that, we really want to get rid of because it's distracting. But I'm not going to get rid of everything. Now I could rebuild the background completely and make it a nice solid color, and I could even add grain to make it look like it should be there.
It looks like the arm of the velvet means that it's sateen, which gives it woody.
Say that again?
If you look at the curve up there, it looks like she's holding him on a velveteen settee, and that's the arm.
Oh.
So it would be probably velveteen in those days, in which case it would have some shine to it.
Yeah. So this part right here, or I don't know about this though. These spots,
No, the arch that goes out there.
right up here.
That's probably the
Yep.
top.
Yep. So leave it, especially if you aren't sure. Okay. Now the face has been blown out a little bit because I've compensated so that you can see it, but.
That's what I like, working with two screens. You can keep the original on one screen and what you're working on the other.
Yeah, so if you have two screens, you can keep the original on one and the working on the other. However, one way too you can do that is just turn off your background copy layer. You know, and that way your original layer underneath it is untouched. And you're just turning that off.
I like to be able to look at the original
Okay.
and go back to the one I'm working on to be able to tell, okay, is this white dot really supposed to be there? Or
Yep.
do I get rid of it?
Yep. So here's the case where you got a nice white spot right here. I don't think that's part of his button. There's a button here. But here we have some of those weird lines again. And we want to be careful that we're being consistent with the pattern. Okay? And I'm just wiping out these scratches, these odd scratches. Now, in the face, oh good, you can see it from there. Let's definitely work on that. And that's where the healing brush comes in really handy, because the healing brush, unlike the clone stamp, maintains the grain of the area that you're going over. Clone stamp just copies the area. It's next to the area. But there's some magic in the healing brush there. It's just amazing.
You don't have to turn on clone before you have the healing brush.
Healing brush and clone tool are completely separate tools. They don't depend one on the other. Okay. So, turn that off. Okay, so this one is basically done. We have this area here, which is where the blanket is. There's a blanket, a sheet of sorts. So what I will do is fill in these areas here. And I want to extend this quilt, this sheet down. to cover up this area. I could crop it out, but there's a lot of it in there. So,
Why did you leave his forehead?
when you say leave his forehead, not clean it up, I just forgot. But I need to do that. Good question. Now with my selection, I want to feather the edge of the selection. It's going to make a soft edge so there's not a hard line because I'm going to bring it down. I don't want people to see where I brought it down from. Track 5. I can even go into quick mask mode temporarily to see how soft the edge is. It's nice and soft. It should blend pretty good. We'll see. I'll copy it. I'll paste it. It just created a new layer called layer 1. That's the thing I copied and pasted. Look, here it is. You know? So what I'll do, I'll transform. Let's bring it down here. Okay? There's other ways to do it. There's this thing called patch tool. There's something called content aware fill that is amazing. But I've been doing it this way so long, it's just faster for me to do it like this. And frankly, it's more predictable, and in some cases, more realistic. Let's go back up to the forehead. Since this was a black and white picture, one thing that will help us, I was just thinking about this, is to give ourselves a black and white adjustment layer. This is also like the hue and saturation function that I had showed you. And we can even tint it with this type of layer. I gave it that sepia look, right? But you can also run it right here in the spot. See if I can cover up this spot just with a change of contrast. His scratched forehead. A little bit, but then the area at the bridge of his nose looks blown out. So that doesn't work so well. But I still like the black and white look. I like that better than what I was telling you about color casts. You want to avoid those color casts. I will apply the healing brush to this area as well. Right. Now a little work here in the eye. All right. It's a little hard to tell, but you can see the damage in there. Okay? In a case like that, you can sometimes take part of the other eye and put it over there, duplicate it. But it doesn't always look real. Sometimes the eyelids don't look right. And if you copy the whole eye and move it over, it'll be cross-eyed. Right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So let's go to the quick mask mode, and we're going to select part of his eye here. I'll make a nice soft edge. I'll go right across like this. Okay. And we'll, give me a second, copy, I'll put that back, paste. So here, I've just introduced the highlight from the other eye. But that area is obliterated in the original. It's gouged out, it's scratched out. So what I can do is minimize that highlight. I think it looks good though. But I'm going to take my quick eraser tool. I'm just going to take this eraser tool just to take it out a little bit. No, went flat. Took out too much. We can also use some good old artistic abilities. And I hope this will work with this compensation layer. Let's see. Nope, I gotta turn it off. Sorry. It's gonna go dark on you there. But I am gonna paint in here. Lighter one here. And a dark here. Okay, I'll put this back on. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is blur that. And then I'm going to add noise. I add noise to it because that will simulate the grain. See, when you're retouching a photo, you need to be aware of grain, you need to be aware of lighting, and perspective. They have to match. If these things don't match, the human mind sees there's something wrong with this image. It doesn't look real. So here we go. Before, after. Not bad. Let's zoom out a little bit. Before, after. Where his eye is totally messed up, we have a slight improvement there. I'm going to move on to another one. Any questions about this? Okay. Now let's just say you wanted to do a little bit of coloring. You could, as I said, go to that black and white adjustment layer, do tint, do a kind of sepia tone there if you want. But if you wanted to do a local, specific area to be colorized, like the cheeks, make him look a little sweeter, not so cold, we could take, we have our layer that we just made, we'll change it to color mode, get our paintbrush, pick a nice warm red color here. That's awful. Yeah. Boom. And it's because I had these compensation layers on. This is not working out. Give me a second here to fix my mess. Yeah, that's not working out very pretty, but yeah, he's upset. Why are you taking my picture? All right. So I'll erase this a little bit here, here, and then we can drop the opacity. It's very subtle. Just something I wanted to throw in there, but not so nice. Okay, let's go to another one. Any questions?
I have
Good.
a question for you. You're
Yes.
always keeping the preservation copy, right? So that is a true copy of what you had at the time.
A preservation copy.
Well, I'm sorry, the original scale before you are doing all of this.
Yes, yes. When I do my work, I save an original. I put ORI, and then I do everything I'm working on. I call it R1. Those of you that have the course, once you get to the workflow part, you'll see how I explain that. But it is important. I didn't say that. Scan, save your original. When you're ready to work on it, save that original as a slightly different name. Working, R1, V1, something like that. Then, work on that. So the original, you can always go back to it. Yes, ma'am?
I was concerned with the old photographs that I came across a couple weeks ago. Getting more light on to damage them. And I've contemplated, I haven't tried it yet, maybe you can tell me whether or not it would work or not, taking a photograph of the picture instead of making a copy on the scanner with
Yep.
my camera set on a museum so there's no flash.
Yep. Okay, so you have an original that you're not able to scan. You don't want to scan, whatever. How do you get it in? How do you get it digitized? And yes, you use a camera. The trick, though, let's just get this scan started while I'm talking. So let's say you're in the museum right now, right?
I brought a camera that's got a museum thing on it, so you can take a picture with.
Oh, a museum preset, like a setting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know, because I don't know that camera, I never heard that setting, so, but let me put it to you this way. I can't help you with that part, but I can tell you this much. If you have to do the copy, 1 second, 300, let's make this 100% scale, and I'm going to just go right in like that. Oops. Give me a second here. So, you have your camera, you have a document, a photo, a picture, a painting. You should have a tripod with you, something to hold the camera still, because you're going to have to use a slow shutter speed and a very small aperture. An aperture is the iris, like your pupil. And the smaller it is, the more detail it can give in the focus. The wider open it is, you'll get more light in, but you got to be tack sharp. It's not always possible to do that, especially if the picture is up here and you're at an angle. You'll have the head sharp, and the bottom part will be out of focus. So you've got to have, like I said, a small aperture. You're going to have to override all the automatic settings. But it's worth it once you do it because you have full control. And you shoot your picture here, or if it's on the floor like this, and then you go in close to the face and shoot the face. Because when you're out shooting the whole portrait, the eyes and the mouth, which are the most important parts of the portrait, will be a little soft, no matter how good your camera is. So you got to be in a little bit closer, and sharp, of course, in focus. And then when you're in Photoshop or some photo editing program, you'll take the close-up of the face, that image, and put it in over the close-up, not the close-up, the overall portrait. And of course, if you don't know how to do that, you don't want to be bothered, you can always hire a photo retoucher to do it. The idea is to get as much detail as you can, but copy shots with a camera are problematic in that when you zoom, when you're pulled out like this, there's some detail you're going to miss that the scanner wouldn't miss. You got to get another close one. If you got different faces, you got to do it for each face. Yeah. Okay. The automatic settings on your camera, it just depends on the manufacturer. Okay. So let's rotate this counterclockwise. All right. I couldn't put this on my flatbed correctly because it's not wide enough, so I had to do it at that perspective. Okay. Get the crop tool. Let's just clean up some of this. I'm being a little crude. All right. So this one, I would like to just go right to black and white, because what's happening here, if you notice, this area has like a different, it's hard to see on here, but you see it as lighter here. But it's actually a color cast. And it looks like the original, the fixer, something was going on with the chemistry when the print was made. Okay? And most likely it was developed more on the sides, the way they were moving it in the tray. And the middle didn't get enough time to finish, and then they dumped it, they put it in the fixer, which froze it at that state. I could be wrong. Who knows? It could be cigarette smoke. But it bothers me. I'm going to go right to black and white. Now, of course, I should save right away, these kinds of things. What that did is that just gave me black and white tones. And I used the black and white filter for that, but again, you can use hue and saturation as well. But I do like the black and white adjustment, which gives me a lot more control. I'll duplicate my background layer. Now I'll go through the picture. I got a lot of little spots in the sky. Now here's where dust and scratches can come in really handy. It's good, you can see it. Let's go to levels. We want to boost the contrast so we can make everything pop. Red, green, and blue.
Harry,
Yes,
why would you bother with the sky at all?
bother with this guy is in...
As you look at the content of the picture, probably the farmhouse and the people are more important
Yeah.
than the sky.
Yeah, the farmhouse, the people, these are the subjects of the picture. But I want to make, again what I was saying, I want to take away the distracting elements that don't belong there. That's why. I want it to look clean and neat. It's sort of like we tell our son, make the bed. So he just takes the blanket and throws it over the bed. The sheet's still messed up, but he did what I said. So we just want to make it completely neat. So that's a personal preference for me.
Couldn't you just crop the sky out?
Can I just crop the sky out?
Or does it draw?
Okay, so that's a good question. I would not do that, even though the original has no detail in the sky. Yeah, I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And there is no detail. It will not show up. Nothing in the sky will show up. If there were clouds there, and there was a balloon there, and a zeppelin, it's gone. Okay? All right? So, all right. So what I can do, I can take a blank layer with a nice white paintbrush and just paint that sky, okay? But just in case there was detail, that wouldn't be so nice. So let's just say there was detail in there. That's when I would just go through with that dust and scratches filter after I clean up the big obvious stuff. Like here, 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 here. And I don't even need to do that dust and scratches thing. I'm going to zoom in right here because I want to be careful not to mess up the leaf of that tree. But look at the detail in here. Like, look at these trees back here. These bales of hay, these giant bales of hay. You know? So there's a lot of little details here. Okay, so here we are. We're at the most important part of the picture. Okay? Now this is when you say, okay, Eric, you need to go in and get these specific areas. I'd like to make a note about this picture. Look at the people. Let's look at the children here, right? Now look at the wagon. What do you notice? Focus. Yeah. The photographer had this farm in focus, but not the people. Could have been intentional, probably wasn't. He was so busy trying to pose them into this cool. I mean, look at how unique they're posed. And this little girl right here looking, okay, did he shoot it yet? You know, the girl in the wagon. You know, I mean, this is really unique. They just don't shoot pictures like this anymore. Frankly, people don't dress like this anymore. But I think the way they dress is great. I mean, I'm inspired, but when I look at these pictures to make sure that I'm wearing something decent for picture time. Okay? So, I want you to start to notice things when you're working on pictures. If you don't come away with anything from these 4 classes, you should come away with this one thing, and that is study your pictures. After you scan them in, look at the details and try to understand what's going on. You might also get clues. there was one picture I had that was a big one like this, and after I did my contrast fix and all that stuff, I noticed there was a person in the window. Like everyone was sitting outside, but there was a person in the window. Was it a ghost? I don't know. Might have been. But
Sick of the measles.
she might have been sick. But the person, the customer that gave me the picture didn't know that. So you see the picture? You know, and you can't really tell because it was so flat. The contrast had really gone. It had disappeared. It's hard to tell. But there they were. And then there was a dog in the doorway too. I don't know if they know that. So anyway, we'll go through here. Just clean this up here carefully. Looks like some type of sock to catch, or maybe a scythe. I don't know what that is. Some implement. Here's a nice windmill. Look at that. They don't make them like that anymore. What's that?
Looks like Kansas, they didn't have like that now.
Okay. Where is this picture from?
It's fine, it's from Ottawa, Iowa.
It is.
So it was Iowa. Okay. So little house on the prairie. Alright.
One thing about leaving the sky and all that grass in there, it shows the vastness of that time.
Yep.
No telephone poles, no wires, no TV,
Right.
and it's
No airplane.
Starlights in the barnyard.
Yeah, I'm bugged with these black spots. I think these black spots, I want to say they're heads of flowers or something. But I don't know, some of them look too perfectly round.
Gold flowers. We have coneflower.
Purple coneflower, yeah. I'm not going to touch it. I don't know. Look at this one. Yeah, it could be. There she is in her wagon. This is on this dress. I want to get rid of that. That's a big bug, though. Even if it was a bug, he deserves to be remembered in history. He's our little, he might be our pollinator, you know. Without our pollinators, we don't have any food. So I'm just going across, scanning here. You know, there's a big mess. Like, ooh, look at that log. Ah, look at that. Now, I'm wondering if this was something etched out because the paper's damaged.
The ink powder.
Think it was ink? This looks like ink damage, maybe? So, it's up to you all if I clean it up or not.
Could you take a picture somewhere else that's the meadow?
Yep, that's what.
Put it down into it?
Yep. What I would do, can you take a part of the meadow and move it in? Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. I'll show you a neat little function. We could, of course, do the clone stamp tool and try to be accurate with it, and we can. There's also the patch tool. Okay, so I can take, let's say, this area, choose the patch tool from here, and this should be source, right? Nope. Hold on 1 second. I always get these buttons mixed up. Destination. And drag it right here. Watch this. Not bad. And there's also a new thing with the newer versions of Photoshop. Don't think in elements. It's called content-aware fill. Sounds like a name. Like, are you content-aware fill? Yes, I am. Wow, can I have your autograph? So here we hit OK. Not bad. Yeah. So there we have it. Okay. So let's close this one. And
You know what?
yeah, go ahead.
You know what I found out? You look, there's nothing there in
Yeah.
Iowa, and it looks like he bought the house, and
Yep,
Like they put trees in. It was just when they got here and put trees in.
yep, yep, beautiful. Let's talk about these broken pictures. Okay? I think everyone's kind of curious about this. So let's say I've got my flip pal scanner, right? I scan my parts, or I have a flatbed scanner, which I have here like this. Okay? So what I do, I wish I had a broken one that was small. I thought I had one. It might have been taken back. It's like, Eric, you're not going to work on it, I see. So I will take my picture back from you. So let's do this. Alright. Make this real quick here. I'm going to preview. Any questions? Yes?
In that area in the last photo where you had the people weren't in focus as
Yeah.
as the background, is there anything you can do about that? I mean, is that something that
Could
can be?
I have that water bottle, please? I'm like, I thought I got one. So, I'm sorry, say that again. I'm like, rude, being rude. Sorry.
In that picture where the people weren't in focus,
Yes.
the background is more in focus?
Yes.
Is there anything you can do about that?
Okay, so the people are in focus, but the people are not in focus. Let's go back to that one. FTS, no. I'm getting that. But that was, I'm going to show you that real quick. That was fun. This one, the big crack. We went like this. Yeah, that was months ago. But anyways, thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so here we have people that are not quite in focus, right? There's a little bit you can do with it. What I would do is I would select, we could sharpen the picture. The only problem with that, let's just do it. Filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. Let me just. I didn't do that right. Okay, so we sharpen it up. I'm trying to do too many things at once. Oh, I blocked it, sorry. Let me show you. Okay, so I sharpened it up, right? Here's before, after. You see an improvement. It built up, Sharpen tool just builds up contrast between light and dark pixels, giving you the illusion that it's being sharpened. This comes from an old art tradition of painting, where if you look at some of the great masterpieces, oil painting masterpieces, you will see the main subjects are actually outlined with a little white halo of white paint, which builds up the contrast between them and the rest of the background. That's what this is essentially doing. But when it's done, then it really sharpens the background. Too much. It looks unrealistic. So what I would do, since they're all out of focus in different amounts, okay, I would select them, right? This is a rough selection. Then I would apply my sharpen. Okay? All right? And she's real soft, right? Out of focus. Should do the whole body, but for demonstration purposes, she's going to have to be sharpened more. Before, after. Okay? Maybe let's do this radius. Yes. Okay? Okay, so let's take a look. Before, after. It helps them pop out a little bit more. But it's not genuine. So that's what you can do about it. Not much. Yeah, be careful with the sharpening tool. I teach that as the last part in my course. When I was teaching and in my video course too, I always taught it last, sharpening. Everybody wants to sharpen all their out of focus pictures. I try to explain, it doesn't sharpen anything. And it's like playing with Clorox. You know, so oh, I got some Clorox, now I'm going to spray some Windex. And, you know, that's it. It's over. Your picture is destroyed because you sharpen the heck out of it.
The guys on NCIS can do it.
Yeah, the TV shows, they love to do that. Yeah, the TV shows, I look at that stuff, I say, oh, come on. Get out of here with that. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, I didn't do it. Alright, so I really want to scan all the parts and show you how Photoshop will put them together into one image and how good it looks, typically. And also for those of you with Flip Pal, I want to show you this is how you should stitch them. Don't use the Flip Pal software until they fix the bug to stitch them together.
Even the newer flatbed scan stitch program.
What's that?
Even the, I mentioned the Epson had a stitching program.
Right, the Epson stitching program. Thanks for bringing that up again. I never used it, so that's why I think you should do it this way. Yeah. Wait, that was a joke? All right. Well, if you're laughing, I'm happy. I will not. Like that comedian up there. I said something funny. Or like, I don't know if you remember that Twilight Zone episode where that comedian says, I just want people to laugh. And people laughed at everything he did, and he went across the street, and I think he got hit by a car. Somebody said, please help me, and they're laughing at him. It was great. Rod Serling. Yeah. Rod Serling, Alfred Hitchcock. You can never make another one, you know? Okay. Alright, so let's just leave it like that. You think I should go this way? Okay. Yeah, I'm still gonna.
No.
Actually, I like it this way, because then I can put this down. So, thank you for not telling me that. I thought you told me that. Okay, so other questions? Yes?
How do you remove like spots from their faces? Do you use that healing brush to do that?
Okay, so when you have the spots on the faces, you might have to use, healing brush is nice, but you might have to use clone stamp a little bit. You might even have to paint things in. It's usually a combination of things for restoration. It's
You zoom into about 700.
Yeah, but be careful doing that. Even zooming in, sometimes you can drive yourself nuts. And then you zoom out, and you're like, ugh, what did I do? And they're flat. Their faces have turned flat.
I use little bitty pixels.
Yeah.
Just takes hours and hours. And
Yeah. Sometimes it's...
depends on how important the picture is to you.
But you got to be careful because you can change it with the clone stamp tool. In painting it pixel by pixel, it's well, you just got to practice and see what works for you. Okay, hopefully this will be the last part for this image. I'm going to put this right here like that.
Another neat thing for scanning is you can scan more than one picture at the same time. Save individually.
So if you have a flatbed scanner, you can put multiple pictures up and scan each one of them. Yeah, like this. Like let's say there were 4 pictures here. I can tell Epson, okay, here, scan this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then I make sure all of those are chosen. It will scan each one of those. You know, it's nice when you got that album stuff on the pages, like we were saying. You know.
Doesn't that cut down on your DPI?
Well, no. You just have to make sure that it's set for each one. you've set it right for each one. Because it's only scanning what's in that area. So if you tell it, give me 300 DPI at 500% or whatever it is, it doesn't matter as long as you tell it to do that for each one. Each section at a time. Yeah, so it would cut down if all you did was scan the whole page. So you had 4 images stuck on a page and you put one crop box around that entire set of 4 images. Yeah, then you're right. But I'd say doing one at a time in the page. You know, select each one in there. Okay, good. I think we got it. So I will open all of these here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not that one. Get that out of there. Okay. So now what we do is we go to File, Automate. Elements has this too. Photomerge. So it's going to bring up this box. I'm going to tell it, add open files. These are the files that are already open in Photoshop. And it lays them out. There they are. I check the box, blend images together. Vignette removal, geometric distortion are generally for images where you shot them with a camera. In this case with scans, I don't do any of that. For layout, I leave it on auto. And I hit OK. And it just starts working now. Now you figured it out. It's not me. And it's updating the lens profiles database cache.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, it's very important. If you don't update your lens database cache, your profiles won't be updated with the lens. Yeah? I don't know what that is. It's important. Let it do its job.
Now we're aligning.
Yeah. Let's see if it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes.
What did you say after file and then something and then Photomerge?
Yeah, File, Automate.
What?
Automate. Yeah, it's basically a script.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a program that runs within Photoshop or tells Photoshop to do certain things. Not so pretty. Okay, so this is what it gave us. So I put these two parts together, right? Which is nice, thank you. So we got this one and this one together. So I'll merge them together. And then it put these two parts together. Okay? So I will put them together. And I'm moving real quick with layers and keyboard shortcuts. I'm sorry, but I want to make a point. So here it worked out okay. Now I can put these pieces together myself. But I want to try one more thing. I want to make a copy of this. It says it's empty. Okay, over here then. I'm going to make this its own document. Okay? Now I'm going to rotate it. Maybe that was part of the problem. You just never know. Okay, got this one, got this one. Now this other part, we'll get the crop tool. We'll crop out everything. Okay? I will save this as 1, and I will save the other one as 2. Hopefully it won't take too long. Okay, good. And 2. Now let's see if I can put 1 and 2 together. And let's see if it will stitch them together. I'm hoping it will. I haven't had this happen before. Usually when I show this, it works flawlessly. So we go to Photomerge again. And I'm going to tell it where to pick up the images. Show it which ones. We said 1 and 2. So let's see. Okay. Hit open. And hit OK. Let's see what it does. Any questions?
Yeah, when you started, you paid no attention to the orientation of the parts. You just, however they skated in, you just put them in.
Yep.
You frame them.
Yep. And I'm hoping that, yeah. All right, I couldn't pull it off. So sometimes this doesn't work. So in this case, oh, it's not done yet. He said Epson has it. So let's go to Epson. Yeah, this didn't work. No, this looks pretty bad. So let's try Epson. Yeah, but so let's try to work on this manually. Now I'll just show you briefly. So what we'd have to do, let's take this one, okay? And let's just take the other one that's the other side, okay? So what we have to do is cut out all along here. And one way to do that is with your selection tool or with a path tool. Most likely I would use a path tool for this. So I take this all the way along, let's just say from here, okay? Just to make it quick. And I copy that. I'm going to make a new document. I'm going to paste it in there. This is in its own layer. Now, okay, I'm doing the wrong key. Okay. All right, so I'll take this part. Okay? Let's just say that that was one part. Well, where are you? There you go. Paste it in. I need to make my whole area bigger. Because I'm going to put her together now. Let's just go like that. Sorry. Okay. I move this down to here.
That's good.
Okay? Now what I do is I drop the opacity down in half so I can see it cross over. This is what Photoshop and Photomerge is doing automatically. And I get it so that there's no blur. So I can use my cursor keys here. I think it's right there. Turn it off, turn it on. And there's something going on with the width too. Yeah, definitely something different here. It's because I took it from two different originals. But the point is here, two different scans of the same area. But the point is you can merge these two together. Now you notice this line, right? We've got this harsh line here. So we can take something, do some brute force with the eraser tool and just erase away. There, so it blends. Okay? That's how you do it by hand. That's a real quick way of doing that by hand. But again, whether it's Epson or something else, go for it. Again, the flip pal at this stage, the way they have it, I don't recommend it because it changes it from 600 to 300, which I think is a bad idea. The difference between 600 and 300 is better to show on a computer screen that's in front of you. All right. And how are we with time?
We have 5, 8 minutes.
Okay. So let's do another quick one if we can. I had to pick that up. I had one where it was the house was partially dark. Well, let's do this one. Okay. And I'm going to move fast on this. So I'm not going to do all my little precautions. So we have an image. What do we do with an image that's very light? Okay? Let's see what everyone thinks. We have an image that's very light. How do we fix the color? Or fix the lightness? Make it so it's not so light? If you know, raise your hand. Yes? Multiply mode. Ah, that's a slightly advanced technique. Yeah. But I'm not sure I would do that right away. I don't think that'd be the first thing I'd want to do. Okay, I'll show you. Remember before I talked about levels? Your color correction is always, and when I say color correction, it's everything with color, looking at color, even on a black and white, is always either contrast or color cast, or a combination of the two. So if a picture is too light, you're correcting the contrast. That element. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so this is a light picture, right? This looks like the AOS something. Could be the Shriners or something like that. So we're going to do our levels, right? And we just get those levels right in there. Now, let's hit OK. All right. So, before, after. Now, one of the other students was mentioning the multiply mode. Let's try that now. So, what I do, I duplicate the background layer, duplicate. And I look here in the layers palette, which is normal. I want to change that to multiply. So look at that, right? The reason why I didn't want to jump into multiply first is because I wanted to get my contrast right. You could have done multiply then do your contrast, but just out of habit, I think it's better to just do your contrast first. Okay? So there's the multiply. Now, if I duplicate the background copy that I just multiplied, it multiplies it again. And it gets darker and darker and darker. Okay? So everything's in this mode here. Now, if I change it to normal, boom. Says, oh, wait, that's how it used to look. So we go to multiply. So I think it like this is fine. Okay? Any questions? I'm sorry if I went a little like over your heads. I hope to leave you with inspiration, not discouragement. Like, oh geez, I can't really do that. You know, I don't want to leave you like that. So some of the basics, you left with something, yeah.
SD card on camera.
SD cards.
You're saying that an SD card is like less sharp than when you take a picture with that.
Okay, so if I take a picture with a digital camera versus a scanner, is the SD card the card that fits in the camera, it records, is it sharp? It has nothing, sharpness and detail has nothing to do with the card. Sharpness and detail has to do with the lens and the camera. More specifically, the lens. Okay? So, but your scanner will get more detail than a copy shop with your camera. Because just think, it's right on top of the glass. Your camera is back away from the original. So, yeah.
Okay, this might be dumb, but you talked about the flip back thing, whatever it was.
Flip back scanner.
Yeah, that it scans at 600, but then it takes it down to 300, but everything.
With the stitching, if you run the stitching software,
But
yeah.
everything you've done is on 300, so I'm kind of lost.
Well, I'm giving you, I'm trying to be consistent with what I'm teaching you today. And I'm saying 300 should be your nominal, and then you expand the scaling, the dimensions. Remember what I was saying, like 200% and 300%? The flip pal doesn't give you that option. It only does it by resolution, which is fine. So with my flip pal, I can take a 4x6 print or image area at 300 pixels per inch, and it's stuck at 4x6. But if I scan it at 600, I get enough detail where I can up it to 8x10. You know, multiply that. That's what I'm saying. All right, I guess that's it.
That was really, really interesting. And I think we're going to spend some time on your YouTube and your blog and all those other things. So that'll be really great.